Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Super Soldier Talk. I am James Rink. It is July 11th, 2022, and Jimmy Paine is with us right now. Jimmy doesn't want to show his face, and I guess I'll tell you why. I don't think he would be opposed to me telling you why, but apparently he was stationed at Montauk, and in the future, in his travels into the future, he saw that the Chinese invaded into the United States, and that means all the whistleblowers and experienced SSP experiencers are all going to be rounded up in that particular scenario. So he wants to keep his anonymity, which I perfectly respect. However, I still kind of doubt whether or not the Chinese are going to invade. However, today's show is certainly not about that. Today's show is about the Georgia Guidestones. So before I go into more about the Georgia Guidestones, let me go ahead and read Jimmy's bio for those people who are not familiar with Jimmy Paine. Super Soldier Agent Jimmy Paine, aka Dallas, was in the secret space program from 1959 to 1996. During this time, he was a shuttlecraft pilot for the Tall White Warriors at Area 51 and participated in time travel missions with the Montauk Boys at Camp Hero. He also recalls working for the Weyland Corporation, where he encountered a xenomorph at LV-426, which the movie Aliens was based off of. He was also stationed on Mars, Titan, and the Moon. On Mars, he has seen a broken statue of a giant face of a humanoid on a mission in 1974, along with Duncan O'Finoian. He remembers seeing the Tommyknockers in a cave on Mars, which are a muscular type of tall gray. On the moon of Titan, he was stationed at a massive underground base where he was tasked with fighting a monster they called It. It looked like a junior Montauk monster, a type of Bigfoot that would gain strength by attacking it. He was also on a secret mission from Vanguard Air Force Base, the Lunar Apollo 20 mission with William Rutledge, where they discovered a Oriental-looking humanoid named EBE Mona Lisa. Jimmy claims the Apollo 20 footage on YouTube is real. Today, we'll be exploring the group behind the Georgia Guidestones in an attempt to answer viewers' questions. Jimmy Paine was very interested in this topic because he was one of the participants in the Guidestones dedication ceremony in March 1980. So, Jimmy, welcome to the show.
Welcome back, James.
Yes. Is there anything else you would like to add to that bio or anything I might have missed?
No, you cover it pretty well.
Okay, excellent. So, I've already come up with a list of some. Actually, you know what? What I'm going to do before we even go into questions, I'm going to give you an opportunity to share with us what you actually remember about the Georgia Guidestones. What was your interaction? And then we can, from there, we'll just go into some questions. How about that?
That sounds good. Uh, I want to go back to my early life. Uh, I'm going to go back to the year 1959, 1960 is when I had my first encounter with um, I had it with a humanoid, and it was basically uh, a very traumatic experience for me and my family. Um, but anyhow, I ended up uh, being taken to Nellis Air Force Base and put into an isolation chamber. I had a little scratch on my arm, and they thought that you know that I might have picked up some germs from this entity, and of course my scratch healed. But um, because I had stumbled upon the extraterrestrials, uh, President Eisenhower, was in his last several months of office, and it was understood that I could return home, but I was to remain into the space program, and I was to be raised in the space program, secret space program. All right, so um, I spent the earlier part of my life, being trained to fly alien craft and also to work on the propulsion systems. I've intertwined with all the species out at Area 51. And I'm what you might consider one of the youngest men in black that has ever went through the ranks. I actually was MIB as early as 17 years old, and I'm currently in my 60s now. But I'm just giving you a little background before we get into the Georgia Guidestones. I am related by blood to a very high-ranking German official. I will not state the individual's name because it would bring threats against my family, and that's not what I'm talking about today. I'm talking about the Georgia Guidestones. So my name, Jimmy Paine, is just one of many names that I use. This is one of my working names. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the early years, and I'm going to start explaining how I knew Dr. Herbert Kirsten. Now, he is the man, he uses the alias Robert Christian, and he is the man that went to the granite company and ordered the markers for this monument. Back after World War II, okay, when Germany lost, their scientists were brought over to the United States, and von Braun, the rocket scientist from NASA, he had 14 tons of paperwork. I'm talking 14 tons of paperwork in a mine over in, I believe it's over in Poland, and the U.S. Special Forces was able to get the paperwork and bring the paperwork back to the United States for the rocket program, the V2 rocket program. And so when von Braun and the scientists were brought over to the United States, von Braun was put in charge of NASA. Okay, well, but I'm going to talk about another gentleman. His name is Arthur Rudolph. Now, Arthur Rudolph was an officer in the German space program, and he also was brought over to the United States, and he was in charge of the NASA program. He was actually over von Braun. But what happened with Arthur Rudolph, he still had some family over in Germany, and the Israeli government wanted Arthur Rudolph to be extradited back to Germany to face war crimes. Now, this is in the early 70s that this all went on, and he ended up having to renounce his American citizenship, and he was extradited back to Germany, and he ended up serving time in prison. So this kind of this had a ripple effect upon the German scientists within the United States. And so they had, they knew even after the war they weren't safe. Now, the man that I'm most familiar with is General Major Walter Derenberger. He was a SS officer. He was also in the rocket program over in Germany. He was my handler. I grew up under General Walter Derenberger. And I basically was trained in German intelligence, but I work with American intelligence. And that is him. And but what happened was, as these men grew older, they, everyone asks themselves, who am I? Where am I from? And where am I going when I die? It's a form of spiritualism. And so this is the basics of where we're coming from on this group of individuals. So what happened was Dr. Kirsten was a surgeon, and he is the gentleman I spoke earlier, being the R.C. Christian guy. But back when Dr. Kirsten was young, right after the atomic bombs were dropped over in Japan on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, when the radioactive fallout fell upon the population, and he was ordered by the United States military to go over there, and they set up a hospital, and they were treating the civilians that had been burned and had also radiation sickness. So he's a surgeon, and he's gone into a nuclear blast area, and he is treating patients. So he had this knowledge about radiation and cancer and blood disorders, and basically he was an Area 51 doctor back in the States here in later years. But Dr. Kirsten was secretly treating von Braun. Now, von Braun died of kidney cancer about 3 years prior to the Georgia Guidestones being erected. But Dr. Kirsten, would make him comfortable where he wouldn't be in pain. And, von Braun had he had terminal cancer. And, but he also treated other German officials. It just wasn't von Braun that he treated secretly. So he was the unofficial doctor of all these German scientists that had came to United States. Okay, so as these men grew older, me being in German intelligence, I would travel around the United States, and I would go from base to base and from city to city, and I would interact with the different scientists and others, technicians, and carry information back and forth. So what happened here when R.C. Christian, the alias R.C. Christian, went to Georgia and started the process of the construction of the Georgia Guidestones. All the people who were in this rocket program remained anonymous because they were still scared of what had happened to author Rudolph being extradited. And the Georgia Guidestones has nothing to do with the New World Order. The Georgia Guidestones is based upon the Knights Templar. All right, as you recall, or if you read the history of the Knights Templars, the Pope had the Knights Templars all rounded up and executed. And but that is the religion of the Knight Templar. So we're talking of a medieval European religion, the tie to these Georgia Guidestones. It has nothing to do with the New World Order. Now, when the Guidestones, prior to the Guidestones being put down, there was like about a 4-foot by 10-foot time capsule was made up, and certain documents were put into the time capsule. Now, I do not know what's all in the time capsule. I do know this much, is that we're going to have a nuclear war in the future. And it was understood that after the nuclear war, that the time capsule would be opened, and we're all are going to be struggling. And when I say we, I'm talking the human race. This is worldwide. You're looking at several billion people dying. And this is a time of a spiritual awakening. And what's in the Guidestones, what's in the time capsule, is basically things that would help an individual out spiritually. So I don't want anybody to get the idea that the Georgia Guidestones are tied to Satanism. It's not. Now, I'm not, and I want to point this out, I'm not a member of that religious organization. I am Paiute, Native American Paiute religion is what I take after. Okay, so I that is my religion. So I'm not defending what the Knights Templar's religion is. I'm just saying I know what it was all about. And what happened in Georgia, you had two political candidates. You had Stacey Adams hollering. She wanted the Confederate monuments torn down, a Stone Mountain erased. And then she lost her election, and there's a lot of individuals upset about that. Antifa and Black Lives Matter are upset about that. And then you had this other candidate, this Taylor woman that was running for governor, I believe, and she was saying that the Georgia Guidestones was satanic, and that if the first thing that she would do is she would be elected, she was going to go in there and she was going to have it bulldozed down. And that was going to be her first thing that she was going to do. Now, so you have these political hacks that are stirring up their political base, and they're trying to bring notoriety upon themselves because they have no political platform of reform ready. So they're attacking this monument. Okay, now if you start blowing up monuments, it doesn't stop at the Georgia Guidestones. You can always have people that's going to disagree. They're going to go around, they're going to say, well, the statue of Jesus Christ offends me, and or the cross offends me, or this statue of George Washington offends me. See, it doesn't just stop at the Georgia Guidestones. And so I would like for people to stop pointing at one another, stop arguing with one another. You know, this has nothing to do with the New World Order. And I would like for the time capsule, since it was not wanted, I would like for the state of Georgia to let that times capsule, let's bring it back to Nellis Air Force Base and rebury it on federal property. That is, if someone within the Nellis Air Force Base would allow that. if they won't allow that, then at least bring it to Mississippi and let's bury it. I know of a base here in the state of Mississippi that it can be reburied at, an abandoned base, and let the location be kept secret. But I don't think it would be a good idea to open the capsule up before this nuclear war, because if you do that, then you start to define a timeline. And right now, there's a reason why there's not a date on that time capsule. That's why the date was left open, because the event has not occurred yet. It will occur, and when it does, the United States would be invaded. There would be a lot of people dying worldwide, and mankind would be knocked down on its knees.
Okay, thank you very much, Jimmy. So I'm gonna go ahead and just stop sharing my screen there. Yeah, so I guess we could maybe start going to some questions if you're ready for that.
Yes.
All right. Well, so maybe the first question we could start off with is, what do you think was buried in the time capsule?
What was put in there by the scientist. Now, a lot of the projects that they were involved in were black ops projects. My concern is if the Chinese or the Russians were to get into the time capsule, it could do some damage to those research programs. That's the reason why I wanted to bring it back to Nellis Air Force Base and to bury it, possibly we're or either open it up, but let it be opened up under the controlled under a controlled group.
All right. So I guess for the next question, what were the Guidestones promoting depopulation in a post-apocalyptic Earth?
It was not promoting anything. What the stones were basically telling of an event, a horrible event that's going to occur in the near future, in which billions, not millions, but billions of people loses their life. It is basically what it is. It's a guide stone. It has nothing to do with politics. It's just a spiritualness. It doesn't necessarily have to be related to a religion. You can be spiritual, but not be tied to any certain religion. I'm spiritual, but I'm not tied to any certain religion.
All right. I'm just trying to pull up a picture of the first tenet on the Guidestone states to maintain humanity under 500 million people in perpetual balance with nature. So that was just it's not meant to kill people off to keep under 500 million, but to work towards that goal. Is that what you think?
With all the interstate structure, the bridges are going to be taken out. You have no fuel for the tractors to get out into the fields. And even if you did, you have no way to refrigerate the food. Okay. Our resources are starting to strain.
All right. Well, I mean, advanced technology that could be averted, but they're not going to want to release any of that anytime soon, as you know. But okay, so let's go into the next one. What was the Guidestones promoting eugenics? Because one of the tenets on the Guidestones is to keep people like physically fit, you know. So let's see if I can pull that one up. But let's see here. Do you remember which one? Let me see. Guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. There we go. So, what do you think? Is that eugenics?
No, it's not eugenics. This has nothing to do with eugenics. It just, if you have people that, if you have somebody that's just, you don't want a 500-pound man, you know, you want to remain healthy. Okay. That's what it's all about there. This has nothing to do with eugenics at all. It's just spiritualness. It's one generation telling the next generation, take care of yourself.
All right. Next question. Was the World Court a part of the New World Order plan? So the last one in here is, oh, here it is. Let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. What do you think? Is that part of the New World Order?
We go back this New World Order. There is no New World Order. Everything gets knocked down. Everything goes to zero. There is, everyone's doing their best just to survive.
All right. Comment from the audience. I don't agree with anything you're saying so far. Stop with the doomsday consciousness. Well, my response to that is that we're talking about the Georgia Guidestones, which is part of that whole doomsday consciousness, because it was a warning message from research from Montauk to help guide humanity in event of that particular timeline. But it doesn't mean we're manifesting it. The way you actually manifest is through your heart chakra on things that you love. So unless you're a negative person out there, you're not going to be manifesting it unless, like I said. So that doesn't work either, and there's a lot of people out there that, in my opinion, are involved in new age nonsense. They really don't understand how manifestation works. But so let's go on to the next question here. So who is R.C. Christian, and are they connected with the Rosicrucians?
R.C. Christian is, it is Dr. Kirsch is who he is. Kirsten. Herbert Kirsten is the same as R.C. Christian. It's the same man. He just uses an alias. I've been to the man's house in Fort Dodge, Iowa.
And were they part of the Knights Templar, that group, or the Rosicrucians?
Yes, it's based upon the Rosicrucians, as you said, and it is part of the Knights Templars. And as you recall, the Knight Templars were all killed by the Pope on Friday the 13th. That's why Friday the 13th is considered a bad luck day. These people have that were involved with the with the stones were being prosecuted. Their religious beliefs were being prosecuted. This goes back to the Middle Ages, and here we are today. We have political candidates in Georgia. They're raising all kind of ruckus because they have no political platform to make things better. So they're, that's why they bulldoze this monument down, and just to please their fanatic followers.
Yeah, I just saw it on screen a few moments ago. Let's see, her name is Republican candidate for governor Candace Taylor had pledged to turn the monument to dust.
That's her. She's been, it's just a bunch of I'm not downing religion. What I'm saying is when religion can turn on people, it can also enslave you. And there's nothing on those stones that was meant to do any harm to anybody. It's just passing down knowledge is all it is. And I want to say something. When this nuclear war happens, it's not the end of the world. You know, we rebuild, but the United States is over. You have the United Americas, and the United States gets broken up into 5 super states. Okay, and all these politicians, none of them are going to survive this nuclear war, and we're just going to have a complete over. Everything's going to change.
Am I still? Can you still hear? Okay, yeah. So we got Candace Taylor here. Says God is God all by himself. He can do anything he wants to do. That includes striking down satanic guidestones.
They're not satanic. What I stated earlier, that I knew the doctor, and like I said, I knew these people. I intertwined with these people. I'm not a Knights Templar. Okay. I'm not satanic. I want to say that much. I'm not satanic. And yes, I was there during the dedication. I was 24, 25 years old. These are political candidates trying to throw mud any way they can to bring attention to themselves to get some votes.
Is that from the dedication ceremony?
I'm sorry. Could
Is that picture from the dedication ceremony? Do you see the screen?
Yes. James, I can't really tell you.
Here's another one.
Yes, that's from the dedication. That is from the dedication. This happened over 40 years ago. I mean, I was 24 then. I'm in my 60s now.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next question then. Let's see here. So why was the project kept secret? Why didn't they just tell us that this was supposed to be a time capsule in case of nuclear war?
First off, you have to remember about Arthur was sent back to Germany, and that he was tried for war crimes. So the scientists at Area 51, they had already started a new life in the United States. They had family members over here, and grandchildren had been born. Yeah, they're just trying to put the war behind them. But so can you imagine? This is 2022, and we're saying that the Stones, these politicians, are saying that Stones are satanic. They're ready to go after and grab anybody who were a member of the group and try to harm them. Or look what's happening up in Washington, D.C. I mean, look what's happening to the Supreme Court judges. They're going to their houses. They're protesting. So no one is safe in the United States right now. That's what I'm trying to say. Either political or religious wise, no one is safe.
All right. How about we'll throw this question here. Why would they send Arthur back to face war crimes, not Joseph Mengele, aka Dr. Green?
I knew Joseph Mengele, knew him very well. Joseph, he stayed out of Area 51, and but I think the reason Arthur was sent back is because he was over the NASA space program. He was above von Braun. he was a much easier target because they knew where he was at. They just didn't know where Joseph was at.
All right. And we're gonna save information about Mangala for I guess refer back to a previous video because we've already gone into it. Okay, so let's go on. How about let's go into the next question. Why is the monument on government land? Why did he go ahead?
It was first put on a farmer's land, and the farmer was given grazing rights. So the farmer wasn't knocked off the land. Now, after these scientists started to die, they went ahead and transferred the monument over to the county and let the county to maintain it. Okay, and so the county ended up with the property, and then you had these politicians, this Taylor woman and this Adams woman. Woman was raising all kind of hell about the monument, and so that's why they don't want it in Georgia. Oh, these two women are raising all kind of king.
So where were they originally planning on putting the monument?
They wanted to go further south with it, from what I understood, and the stones were very heavy, and so they just ended up putting them there in that county. But those stones should have went several counties further south. Now, I don't believe the monument can be rebuilt. It's damaged too bad now. But I'm saying that if it was to be rebuilt, because of what's happening in Georgia, the people of Georgia are just not ready for this. They're not ready for time travel and all this sort of stuff. If it had to be rebuilt, I would like for it to be rebuilt in Mississippi on a military base, if not built back on at Nellis. But it needs to be on federal land or maybe an Indian reservation land, where political influence cannot be interfered with. We just don't go around desecrating monuments because someone says they're satanic. These are not has nothing to do with Satanism at all.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. Okay, so hold on. Let's see this. Is that showing? Sorry. I was trying to share a picture here. Okay, it's not being very cooperative right now. Okay, but let's go on to the next question. So how about why did the government bulldoze the site without a thorough forensic investigation?
Because they did not want it. They wanted to please their political masters and bulldoze it down. This was done deliberately.
Okay, and where do you think the rubble is right now?
I think it's right where it's sitting at.
Okay, like a warehouse somewhere, probably.
No, I just think it's laying on the ground, and and it'll stay there. You may end up having people, souvenir hunters, going down there grabbing this up.
Okay. Yeah, I'm having trouble sharing anything on my screen right now, but we'll just keep moving on here. So how about do you have any information on who blew up the Guidestones and why?
I honestly believe that it was agitated by these two women to please their their political base. Now, I'm thinking, and this is my worst fear. My worst fear is that what's in the time capsule could be of national security. Okay, you have companies out there that these scientists work for, like Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Rockwell, EG&G. You have all these companies that these scientists work for. Who's to say there's not some type of blueprints in that time capsule that would fall into the wrong hands? And I do know the Chinese have been very supportive of Antifa and Black Lives Matter, and that was my worst fear.
All right, so we see a video here of an individual running across the field, and we were having a private discussion that maybe this guy is a time traveler or working one of the planetary corporations, but it's probably just a local, someone that had access to some thermite, probably military. Maybe connection to the Jesuits. What do you think?
I think that it's locally. It was brought on by the local people, that they were campaigning, and they roused up their political base, and Antifa and Black Lives Matter, all that was in the background back there. Now, I don't know who blew it up. I just know there was a lot of political discontent. But for Miss Taylor to get on the Stu Peters show, and she said that lightning struck it and broke it. Lightning did not strike the Georgia Guidestones. There was a flash of light, and I honestly believe this. I've seen that flash of light before. Something very similar happened to the Pentagon during the 9/11 incident. And right where the explosion occurred at the Pentagon, there was an office that was hit hardest, and that would have been the room of Valiant Thor. Now, Valiant Thor is extraterrestrial; he can pass for human, and he just happened not to come in that day at the Pentagon. And I believe what hit the Pentagon was a rail gun. The flashes are very similar. If you look at the flash at the Georgia Guidestones, and then if you were to look at the flash at the Pentagon, it looks similar. But I do know that a rail gun was used. Well, experimental rail gun was used to blow the wall out at the Pentagon. Now, there has not been one piece of a plane picked up, not one boat, not one scrap metal of a plane's been picked up at the Pentagon. They said it all vaporized. Okay, I don't buy that. And I know what happened at 9/11. I did a time jump on it. I know exactly what happened.
Well, this has actually come up in another discussion in the past. I think I mentioned this with Peter the Insider. If they were to use time travel technology to stop 9/11 from taking place, what would have happened later on in the timeline? And it looks like it would have been something even worse, perhaps a nuclear war. So maybe this, even though I hate to say it, because I know you feel something connection with this monument. I mean, I was actually there in 2013. I mean, I didn't really see anything nefarious about some of the things that they were recommending and its tenets, but maybe this will help manifest a more positive timeline for all of us. At
James,
least bring awareness to this.
I would like to have a positive spin on it like you, but I don't see a positive spin coming out of this. There's no statue or monument now that is safe within the United States. This cannot go unchecked. And the two, like I said, what happened here with these two political candidates doing that preaching, that hate preaching, and see, it's one thing for them to make the claim, but I knew R.C. Christian. I knew these people from Area 51, and I'm not even. I don't even take after that religion. I'm a Paiute nature, Paiute Native American religion, but I knew of them, and I also intertwined with them, carrying their messages back and forth. So that's an attack on me. When you say it's a devil monument and Satanism, that's an attack on me. And that's why I don't go public, or because of the kind of stuff that's going on right now.
Yeah, no. Okay. Well, certainly we even saw that with like the Salem witch trials. Certain individuals were some people become superstitious, and I know a lot of people are really angry right now at the what's going on in their country, and they're looking for a target to take it out on. But you know, if now that this information is in the media cycle and people's awarenesses to it, if the individuals, of course, you said, I guess some of them are dead now, like so was it Bergenberg? Well, who was it that you said died in 2018? He was 85.
That was well, Dr. Kirsten died in 2005, and Arthur Rudolph, he died in 96. He was 89 years old.
Yeah, so the thing is, the original creators of the monument
they're all dead.
Yeah, so they really can't come out and speak about this
Exactly. That was 40 years ago exactly. Von Braun, he died in 79. He was 65. These people were old. They were up in age. And they were just being quiet because they did not want to bring retaliation upon their family members. You know, what happens if they go back and they say, well, you're akin to such and such that worked on the German rocket program, well, the American rocket program, and you're a Satanist. You know, this is just so untrue. This is all based on the Knights Templars religion. And I want to say something. In China, there's Christianity is not allowed. They've taken all the crosses down off all the churches, and these organizations in Georgia, there's a lot of money, foreign money, is being poured into these organizations and into these political races, and a lot of that is coming from China. So China has a lot. China wants to stir up stuff.
Right. And we've already discussed what happens in the future, at least from your memories through Montauk, what China does to the United States, and it's not good. But I personally think China is going to implode. Their economy is going to fall apart, and what's going to exist is not going to be much of a threat left. But I guess time will tell. So, how about we go to? We were discussing like what would you actually like to see happen? I know you mentioned maybe taking the what's left over of the monument, possibly reconstructing it, but I wouldn't be able to restand it, but maybe even rebuild it. So, what would you like the federal government to do, or maybe the people at Area 51, if they're listening to this? What would you like them to do?
Well, first of all, I want to speak to the people at Area 51, the military, as well as our guests, the extraterrestrials. Okay, what happens at Area 51 stays at Area 51, and even though we may not like the politics, we should not get involved in the politics. Um, we should concentrate on on the research, and we should treat one another with respect and dignity. And it doesn't matter what religion you are, to treat everybody with with dignity. So I want that to get over to Nellis Air Force Base and Creech Air Force Base. How I feel about that. But I would like possibly for some aero defense company to come in and uh, and ask the Georgia officials, since they don't want any of this in their state, may they retrieve the time capsule, and I want the time capsule brought back to Nellis Air Force Base or Creech Air Force Base, and I want it to be buried in a location, a secret location, and in the event that when the nuclear war happens, then it to be opened. Um, and I want this secured on federal property, because what's in that time capsule could be very sensitive, because it could very well deal with Lockheed Martin, their research programs, EG&G research programs. I've been all up in EG&G at at um uh, at Nellis, uh, and Boeing, all that. I want, if it is to be opened, I want it to be opened in the presence of those officials, rather than somewhere in Georgia where this sensitive military information would not fall in the wrong hands. Um, as far as the monument, um, what I want and what happens are two separate items here. I would like for it to be put on, brought here to Mississippi, and erected on a closed military base. And but if it's not to be brought here, then to bring it or to build it and erect it at Nellis. But it would have to be on federal property, or maybe Indian property, Native American Indian property, rather than under some county. Because these county workers in Georgia, they were quick to get their backhoes and run out there and knock down the monument to please these political candidates. And they could have said, "Look, we could have went out there and with nylon straps and picked them up and laid those stones down, and those stones could have been X-rayed for any cracks." But none of that happened. They were just busy wanting to knock it down to please their political masters, is what they were trying to do. I can't hear you, James.
Figures. Oh, yeah, figure see what I forgot to press the unmute button. Sorry, and we're seeing a mirror image there. Let's see if I can get this time. How about, there we go. Now we got everything working right. Okay, so I was down to the Guidestones in 2013 is what I was trying to say, but yeah, So let's so how about this next question? What is the total cost of the monument back in, I guess, $1980? Do you recall what that was?
I don't recall, but I know that the people that had it built, they were gouged as far as price wise. What happened in Georgia was these people wanted money, a lot of money, and they blew the price up uh, to pocket their own selves is what they did. But
All
it was not in the right alignment of the sun to begin with. So it really doesn't need to go back there. And I would encourage anybody that's listening to me is not to offer financial support to the Georgian officials for the way that they've behaved. And because what happened here can happen to any church or to any statue in the United States.
Well, what do you think about Pfizer getting involved, offering to rebuild the monument?
I think it's political. It's just as political as the two Georgian candidates. Now, fine if they want to donate some money, but no, not for them to be over it. I don't think that people should. I think the who would ever want to donate money they should be aliases. I would love to put it on something like GoFundMe, where people can give $5 here or $10 there, and rather than one company saying, "Well, heck, we built it, and we're so much more righteous than every other company out there." I want to keep it back with what the founding members wanted. They just wanted to express themselves and express their spiritual beliefs.
Yeah, certainly wouldn't want to say have a plaque there that said sponsored by Pfizer.
Exactly.
Wrong message. And we've actually discussed this in private about some of the murals on Pfizer's corporate headquarters in New York City. Did you find anything you want to comment about any of that?
Well, they're wrote in um, ancient um, Zachariah Stitchin is the one who was the expert on uh, that type of religion. So it's all over um, the Pfizer building, the symbols.
So certainly it seems like, you know what, I better be careful. I don't want to get another strike.
Yeah.
So
We're not going to
move away
talk
from
about them being bad. I'm just saying it should not be connected to any religion or belief.
Okay, let's move on. And let's see here. I got lots of good questions. So we have a question here. This exact location of the Guidestones, was this an ancient vortex connected to a native tribe?
No. Uh, it was chosen because of the proximity from the pyramid quarries. That was the name of the quarry that the stone was cut out of. It's called pyramid quarries. They're very heavy stones.
All right. And we've got next question is so this next one I do, but Indian native tribe. I guess that's not true. Since you already said that was okay. So why? Okay, does their destruction have anything to do with Cern?
No, I think it was just simply an event that occurred. Um, I'm concerned about CERN because there will be an accident in the future. I was one of the time travelers um, that went into that facility. All the scientists are gone. There's a lot of blood all over CERN, and apparently there's been some type of a unknown event that occurs there in the future.
What about China? I heard a rumor that China has their own type of CERN type facility that nobody's paying attention to.
I'm sure they probably have spied and gotten plans from CERN. They've done it on every military machine that the United States certainly has. Why wouldn't they do it on CERN?
All right. Well, let's go back to the question here relating to the monument. So why were they built 666 miles from the United Nations? And what is the meaning of this exactly?
First of all, it's not in alignment with the sun. Okay, the owners of the monument, they wanted to put it further south. So as far as the 666, I can't tell you why anything about that. I just know that the way the tracking of the sun, there's a hole in it where a beam of light would come out of it and hit a certain portion of the stone. So the stone was just put there because it was such a short distance from the quarry.
All right. So that really kind of answers a lot of these other people's questions about like Native American land. And but here's one here. Was the capstone used for ritual sacrifice?
No, this had nothing to do with human sacrifice. It's all based upon the Knights Templars religious beliefs. It's old European religion.
So here's an image where apparently it looks like perhaps it could be blood. Maybe motor oil got up there. I'm not quite sure. Or maybe go ahead.
They've had a lot of people to pour stuff on it, paint on it. They've constantly gone out and had to put harsh chemicals on it. Then again, it could be mode. I don't know, but it could be spray paint. They might have cleaned the stones and just left that up there because nobody could see it.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next question. So I guess you've already answered the question about the RC Christian and the Rosicrucian. How about Ted Turner? Was he involved in its construction?
No, Ted Turner had nothing to do with it. Now, has Ted Turner bought up some land around there since then? Possibly, he might have bought some land, but it had nothing to do during that timeline.
All right. Next question. Well, this is more of a comment. Dark Journalist seems pretty spot on, saying this was most likely a false flag op to make conspiracy theorists look like radicals. Would you agree with that?
Only thing I know is that with this political ruckus this political circus going on in Georgia, these candidates just want to get some attention towards their failed policies. Okay. And we can talk about conspiracy theorists all day long. It's not a conspiracy where I'm coming from or who I interacted with. I knew these people, and I'm here to tell you that what happened here is very serious. And there's not a stone in this country that's safe now, and that includes cemetery stones.
All right. So next question is, I guess we've kind of touched, or at least I went into it just briefly, but can you comment about the capstone? Why is there no date on the capstone? I'm sorry, not capstone, the time capsule.
Because it would give you the date of the nuclear blast. And right now, there's until I get back to Area 51, the experiences that I had at Camp Hero, Montauk, during the time travel experiments, the timelines change. Every time an event will occur, the timeline would break. It'll start a new timeline. And that's why I don't want this time capsule to be opened. I want it brought back to Nellis Air Force Base, and I want to assemble or have a team assembled that if it was to be opened, it would be opened under a controlled timeline. We do not want this capsule to be opened up by the county officials. We don't want to know what's in the time capsule because the event has not occurred yet.
Okay. All right. So let's move on. Next question. Was the Club of Rome involved with the building of the Georgia Guidestones?
No, none of that. I told you this all occurred from the scientists at Area 51. It had nothing to do with the Club of Rome, the New World Order, or eugenics. None of that. Had nothing to do.
And I guess that also covers it. Somebody was asking, did the Rothschilds build it? But I don't
No,
know.
the Rothschilds had nothing to do with it. I know people want to ask the questions, but I can assure everyone out there that what has happened here is a tragedy. Okay, what has happened here is a tragedy, and it needs to be. We need to understand that we need to tolerate. We need to tolerate each other. We don't need to holler or scream or go to somebody's church and strip naked because you disagree with, the right to life or anything like that. This is just spiritual.
You still there, Jimmy? Hello, Jimmy. Are you still there? Well, if we've lost Jimmy, I guess it's probably a good time to wrap this up. We were pretty much done with the questions. I think there was only one more question about. Oh, there you are. We lost you for the last minute. Could you please repeat what you just said? Jimmy. Hello. Audience members in the chat, are you able to hear Jimmy? If you can, could you please say something? Because I don't know if it's on my end. Okay. Yeah, looks like we're getting some interference here. Jimmy. Okay. Well, I guess we could probably wrap this up. I mean, the last question was why did they chose those language plates, and who was the ones responsible for actually writing up the list on the on the Georgia Guidestones. And I believe that was actually part of the Templar religion, Knights Templar. But I guess we'll go ahead and just wrap it up then. Maybe I'll stick around for a few more minutes here, answering a few questions that I can anyway. So if you have, is there anyone else have any questions that we haven't covered? I can go through this chat here. Let's hear. YouTube is suppressing him. I would say that might be the case. Says James, your last interview with Perez was awesome. Thank you, Terry. Let's see here. We've got YouTube playing games. Yeah. This has actually never happened before with on my live stream. So maybe this gives credence to what he has to say. I don't know, but I'll let the audience members choose. I know that a lot of people are really angry what direction the country is going and want to take it out on certain monuments. But this is part of our history. I think better thing to do is to try to understand it rather than trying to destroy it. But anyhow. Okay, somebody's asking, what are my feelings about all this? Well, yeah, Jimmy just logged out, so hopefully he'll be back in just a moment. But yeah, I personally think that the nuclear war is going to be stopped. I think we're going to be on a positive timeline. Maybe the destruction of the monument is maybe that's connected to another timeline, almost like as the timelines are merging, other monuments are being, I'm going to say, like, certain ideas are being destroyed with it. Like, for instance, we were supposed to have a timeline where there was nuclear war, where NATO was supposed to shoot missiles into Russia, and then Russia was going to retaliate. And between July 5th and July 15th, there was going to be a lot of saber rattling, and then we'll go into a truce. So that timeline has been averted. But as these other timelines merge, it's almost like we get fear being drummed up, and then it dissipates as it merges back into the more positive timeline, which I believe we're on. Yeah, some people are talking about the Mandela effect. I just posted on Facebook about the Britney Spears dress was changed from plaid to black. So, oh, here we go.
Are you there? Are you there?
Yeah, welcome back. So that was, yeah, strange.
What happened there? Did somebody cut us off because they didn't like what we're saying?
I mean, at this point, we're almost at the end of the presentation, so a little too late. But maybe you could just go ahead and finish what you're saying, reword it, maybe.
What was the question one more time?
Well, I think we were talking about. I think I said something about Club of Rome.
No, it had nothing to do with it. This was all internally from Area 51. From the paperclip scientist.
Well, the next question was about the languages on the plate. Why did they choose those particular languages?
Well, they wanted to express out. Have you ever went to a monument but you couldn't read it? You're a foreigner. You're traveling to a foreign country and you couldn't read it, and it was just someone wanting to be thoughtful, it meant there was no political statement meant by it. Okay. It was just spiritualness, words of wisdom, words of encouragement. Words of encouragement is all it was meant there.
All right, sorry, I've got so many windows open. I keep trying to unmute myself. But English, Spanish, Swahili, Hindi, Hebrew, Arabic, traditional Chinese, and Russian are the languages on the monument. So, all right. Next question. Well, oh, here we go. Ask him, how do we know he's not some spin doctor claiming he's part of something he's not, just to control the frame of narrative and of what's going on? And why would he come onto your show to talk about it, not someplace else?
Well, first of all, I'm not going to write a book. There's one gentleman, his name is Mark Dice. Now, he is claiming to be a time traveler, and he's got a book out on, I think it's on Amazon, called the Resistance Manifesto. I'm not real sure, but he's claiming to have worked with John Titor, and that's just a lie. I've worked with John Titor, the time traveler from 2036. So I'm not trying to go public because one, I don't want anything to happen to my family or myself, because if they're willing to blow up a monument and they're hollering, demon worshiping, sacrifices, New World Order, how does that make me feel? So I'm not trying to go public, and I'm not trying to put no book out either. So you just have to take it. The person that asked the question, just take it on. You just have to decide for yourself.
Well, I got a copy of this book, Disclosed Chronicles of John Titor II, with John Titor and Jason Quitt and Bob Mitchell. So, can you confirm if this is the same John Titor that you worked for, or is this guy?
To be, I see it, James. To be real honest with you, this happened back when we were both very young. As far as I'm concerned, the only way to really tell is for him to go to Area 51 along with me, and we have a scanner, kind of like a barcode scanner you see in a grocery store, and you wave this over our arm, and a barcode would show up. Okay, so that's the only way to give them a positive ID. We don't wear dog tags. We have like an invisible barcode number on our arms. That's the new type of dog tag, and it only shows up under a spectrum of light. It's a specialized scanner. It's not at your grocery store. It's only at Area 51. So that's the only way I can tell if he's the real John Titor. And I do know that I've spent some time in Florida. I've been down there to 166 Rattlesnake platoon, and I've rode shotgun with them. The country's just it's just gone. It's there is no United States in the future.
Okay, well, you know what? I'll just briefly just go into this, and then we can probably wrap the show up so we don't make this a really long, drawn out show. But in this book, basically it states that, John Titor was sent from the future, from Area 51 to Atlanta. Maybe it was like 2030, 2040. I'm not quite sure the exact date. But at that point, the United States was pretty much destroyed, ruined from nuclear war. Hillary Clinton got to be the president, and she made a deal with the Iranians to mimic. They took passenger plane and mimic the actual tracking symbols to look like it's a real plane. I mean, a real passenger plane, but it had nukes on it. And they leveled a few American cities in Paris, Tel Aviv, and I should remember they were thinking about 5 cities. DC was one of them, but the nuclear fallout was pretty much destroyed what was left of the economy, and people were struggling just to get food. So he was going back in time to try to change the timeline, and thankfully we didn't get Hillary Clinton. We got somebody, my opinion, much better. But so now, but you stated through Montauk, no matter how many times they went back and tried to change things, the nuclear war would just get pushed off further and further out, but it never really went away.
It's like a cookie on your computer. It's like a pop-up. We can delay it. We can't stop it. That's why I wanted to get back to Creech Air Force Base and get to talking to the extraterrestrials to see if we can't get this cookie, this distortion off of the timeline. You have to remember, James, all we did was observe. Okay. Well, that's what I did, was observed when I did these time jumps. And when we start talking about politicians and we're trying to help this politician get into this office, where we defeat the purpose. what stays at Area 50, what happens at Area 51 stays at Area 51. We don't interfere with politicians. We don't make political statements. We're just trying to keep things stable within America, okay? And but what is in the book, I have not read the book. I couldn't really comment too heavily on the book, but as far as the Hillary, I know Hillary. I've been knowing her since she was 15 years old. And when she worked for Eisenhower, she used to be Eisenhower was her handler when she was a teenager. So I don't know anything about what he says about the plane being loaded. All I know is that we're going to have 2 missiles. I took one of the missiles down. The second missile got past me. It flew over into Canada and hit the tar sand oils up there. And once that radioactive oil goes to burning, it cannot be put out. So if you have a respirator, the radioactive oil will clog up the respirators, face respirators, and it gets everywhere. It gets up into stratosphere, gets up even into the North Pole. So it's permanently burning radioactive oil, burning nonstop.
Okay, well, we've already discussed this in another video, and it wasn't very well received. People are not very happy hearing about that particular information. I guess, nobody really wants a world like that anyway, but let's go ahead and wrap the show up by giving the audience members an opportunity to reach out and contact you. Do you have an email address you want them to reach out to, or should I just give them my email address?
I think the best way to contact me is through you. And if there's any aerospace company or any military official who wants to talk to me, I will talk to them, but it would be under the condition that it will not be done publicly. It would be done privately, and I'm not interested in joining any type of political organization. All I want to do is to try to undo some of this damage that's been done over in Georgia, and I want to get the talk to the extraterrestrials about trying to get this, trying to correct this timeline here.
Well, in a regression work I did, reached out to some of the tall whites, and they said that the treaty was renegotiated with Kennedy, and the Palladians and the tall whites are working together to protect humanity from any nuclear war.
Well, it's kind of like this. I also see the tall white warriors base being overran with chimpanzees. And I'm sure you've seen the movie Lawnmower Man, where the chimpanzee has the pack on and the night vision helmet. But what I'm trying to say is that whatever China's working on or Russian is working on, what attacks Area 51 is probably going to be some wild chimpanzees. Well, not wild, but trained chimpanzees that are going to be attack animals. And I think that the tall white warriors, I think that's what's going to go after them. But I'm not for sure. But I kind of think it's heading that way.
Okay, well, let's hold out for positivity. If you want to reach out for Jimmy Paine, and by the way, I'm not going to comment about the chimpanzee because we've already discussed this in a previous video. But please write to info@supersoldiertalk.com. And also, I think there was, you know what? I had another question. Oh, well, I guess we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. But thank you all for listening in. Audience members, go to my website at neologicaltech.com and get a copy of my book. You can also get yourself a meditation cube to help you relax. And be sure to subscribe to this channel, depending on where it is. I think I'm going to probably keep this up on YouTube. But be sure. Also, make sure you go over to Rumble because most of the content is actually over there on the Rumble account. Yeah, I've got some new videos coming up with Tony Rodriguez and Daryl James, and he mentions a few words that is a drug that rhymes with a popular Google browser. So I don't think I can post these on YouTube, or we'll see. I'll try to figure out a way to get around the censorship. So yeah, other than that, thank you all for listening in, and we will all see you later. Do you have any other final comments, Jimmy?
No, just anybody wants to get a hold of me, just get a hold of James, and James take care of it on his end, and we'll get something going. Hopefully.
All right. We'll see you all later. Bye, everyone. Please consider supporting Super Soldier Talk by purchasing your own Neo Meditation device. Your Neo Meditation device will help you reduce stress, integrate trauma, enhance intuition, enhance clairvoyance, and enhance creativity. Get yours now at www.neologicaltech.com.